So you can take a second to read the word problem if you haven't had a chance to already. But from the distance of 45 feet from a building, I'm going to draw a line, 45 feet, and here's my building. It's glorious. It's got windows. And it's an awesome building. There we go. Perfect. Flawless. I'm also an art teacher. That's a lie. So the angle of elevation to be, I think that's a typo, to the top of the building is 64 degrees. Anytime you hear angle of elevation, that means from the ground up. So from the ground up, from that distance from the building, 65-degree angle. So we need to estimate the height of the building to the nearest foot. Now this is a right angle triangle because we're assuming it's not the Leaning Tower of Pisa. So mine kind of looks like that. It's supposed to be a right angle with the ground, perpendicular to the ground, because it's not a leaning building. So that's a right angle triangle. That means you have SOHCAHTOA at your disposal. Okay, so SOHCAHTOA just says that you take the opposite side. SOHCAHTOA helps you understand which trig ratio you need to use. We're trying to find what's opposite of 65 degrees. So that means we should be considering sine and tangent and not considering cosine, because A and H, there's no O there. So it wouldn't have the opposite that we need to work with. So we're trying to find the opposite. And the hypotenuse is always this angle over here. We don't have the hypotenuse. That's not going to really help us out right now. So forget about sine. Our ratio we need is tangent. And the way you write your ratio is always by writing the trig function you decide on, the degree inside the trig function, and then it's supposed to be the opposite divided by the adjacent ratio. So the opposite side is x, and the adjacent ratio is 45. And those are supposed to be equal to each other. Okay, so this is how a trig ratio is always set up with SOHCAHTOA. Decide on your trig function, put your degree inside it, and then in this case it's opposite over adjacent for tangent. But if it was sine, it would be opposite over hypotenuse, and likewise for cosine. But now you just have something to solve. You need a calculator, plug that in plug tangent 65 into your calculator. And then to solve this equation, there's plenty of ways of doing it, but I think the easiest way is just to multiply everything by 45. Because if you multiply this fraction by 45, it cuts the legs out of the fraction, and that's gone. But you also have to do, what you do to one side, you have to do to the other. So you got to multiply 45 over there. Once we do that, though, x is by itself. And that's what my calculator gives me, 96.5.